Every fall season I get a compelling urge, and it's not just for candy corn. No, every time the leaves start to change and the weather starts to cool, I get the yearning to rewatch two of my favorite shows for the Halloween season, Over the Garden Wall and Gravity Falls. Both of these shows perfectly embody the feeling of mystery, dark fantasy, and the Halloween spirit. Obviously, these two shows are cartoons and are aimed towards children. However, having watched both of them as an adult, I can vouch that even though they are lighthearted and fun, both can be very suspenseful and terrifying. With themes of horror, dark villains, and an overall spooky vibe, these two shows are perfect to watch this time of the year. If you haven't seen these shows before, then this video is solely to convince you to sit down with a big bowl of candy and enjoy yourself. If you have seen them, then see this video as a celebration of two of our favorite cartoons. Before I continue, let me give a minor spoiler warning for both of these shows. While I'll do my best not to go over any plot twists or major developments, some things will be shown on screen that you won't want to see if you want to go into them fully blind. If I've already convinced you enough to check out one or both of these shows, then feel free to go watch them and come back. I just want to share my genuine appreciation for two shows that may unjustly get written off as kids shows from people who don't know better. Starting with Over the Garden Wall, we have Wirt and Greg, two half-brothers who get lost in the woods and are trying to find their way home. They quickly help and befriend Beatrice, a talking bird that instructs them that she can lead them to Adelaide, someone that she claims can help them find their way home. On top of meeting Beatrice, there's a creepy woodsman throwing out warnings about a beast in the forest. As the two brothers travel with their new companion, they come across all kinds of bizarre people and circumstances. Admittedly, I have to be a bit vague with this show. If I talk too much in detail, I can inadvertently give away a lot of things. However, what I can discuss is one of my favorite aspects of the show, the dynamic between the two brothers. The older brother Wirt is a young man who seems to be trying to find his place in the world. At times he can seem cynical, stubborn, and even frustrated with those around him. But I think his ornery attitude stems from growing pains tied in with being lost in a dark and threatening environment. His younger brother Greg is almost his complete opposite. He's whimsical, lackadaisical, and seems to be blissfully ignorant of responsibility and even danger. Greg is a ball of warmth and kindness. He's quick to help people and encourage others, no matter the circumstances. Even when the world around him is filled with dangerous monsters, creatures, and people, Greg remains an unchanging source of joy, even if that comes in the form of childlike ignorance. Because of their opposing temperaments, the tension between the two brothers grows over time. Greg can be difficult to manage, being a bit of a wild card in any given situation. Wirt is solely focused on getting home, feeling responsible as the older of the two. The brothers' differences lead them to misunderstandings and frustration due to Greg's naivety, even though he really does mean well. And Wirt's frustration with him is understandable given their circumstances. At the end of the day, though, they are still brothers who deeply care about each other, and this compelling relationship is presented very well. Over the Garden Wall has a unique flavor to it. Compared to other cartoons of its time, its art style is drab and melancholy. The show is dark, and the few colors present are muted and dulled. The narrative, while certainly having moments of life, is mostly dreary. There's an ever-present sense of being lost and losing hope of finding your way home. The soundtrack accentuates this and wraps up all of these feelings in a neat gloomy bow. The opening song is slow and melodic, accompanied by wistful lyrics. Other times the songs are fun and light. Out of the two shows, Over the Garden Wall excels at being the creepiest. Our protagonists are thrust into a world of uncertainty, and I think that feeling of suspense is translated well to the audience. The forest the two brothers are lost in is literally called the Unknown. Watching it for the first time, the show itself felt as if it were covered by a dark cloud. From the first episode, there's an ever-looming threat of something menacing that has yet to reveal itself. Honestly, I watched every episode with a small feeling of unease, just waiting for the narrative to turn darker. It's that uneasy feeling that you're being watched or something's right behind you. While the overall tone of the show falls under the category of eerie, I think it is balanced well with lighter scenes of cartoon silliness. This isn't a jarring shift in tone, however. I like to look at these little goofy moments as a bonfire on a dark and brooding night. It's a gentle reprieve as the darkness is held at bay by the warm fire. For a small moment, you can take a breath and are reminded that our heroes are just children trying to find their way home. Over the Garden Wall feels like autumn. The leaves change in colors, the cool breeze coming, promising even colder weather in time, and the overall bittersweet reminder of time and mortality. So if Over the Garden Wall embodies the feeling of gloomy autumn, then Gravity Falls feels like the much more fun, colorful, and candy-filled Halloween. Out of the two, this one is much more lighthearted in tone, but just because there's a lot more jokes and whimsy doesn't mean that it loses out its mysterious feeling. In fact, mystery is the key element to the show. The story follows the misadventures of Dipper and Mabel, twins who were dropped off by their parents to spend their summer with their great uncle, Grunkle, Stan. Stan owns the Mystery Shack and is a showman and purveyor of all things bizarre. In reality, Stan is much more of a grifter, fabricating these oddities and exploiting the naivety of tourists to make a quick buck. Ironically, all of these things take place in the fictitious town of Gravity Falls, where actual bizarre things run amok. There are monsters, ghosts, creatures, and even gnomes. At the start of the show, Dipper, who has an inquisitive nature, stumbles upon a journal that catalogs the strange events and creatures found throughout the town. While Dipper is caught up in the mystery of who wrote the journal and what other anomalies lie hidden in the world around them, his much more whimsical sister, Mabel, seems to be more focused on boys and sparkly things. The two complement each other well, just like Wirt and Greg, playing off each other in an ebb and flow of personalities. While they are extremely different from each other, they work well together to solve problems that come their way. As the two encounter anomalies and adventure, a thread of underlying mystery presents itself and slowly begins to unravel. Mystery is expertly woven into this show, not only through its story, but also through hidden messages found within the opening and ending credits. Unfortunately, I stumbled across this show way past its airing. I missed out on the intrigue and anticipation viewers must have felt with the coming of each new episode. But this intentional inclusion of the audience is something I will always admire. As the story itself presents clues and conundrums for the characters, it also has the audience hunting for Easter eggs. You aren't just a spectator, you can actively be involved in solving puzzles and finding answers. This invokes a genuine connection to the characters of the show. As they find pieces to fill out the puzzle, you do as well. Obviously, there is a limit on how much you can find out, and some things are made cryptic on purpose, but I think that having any level of involvement is a testament that the creator of the show, Alex Hirsch, genuinely cares about the audience. While the mystery of the show is top-notch, I do think Gravity Falls goes above and beyond with its other elements as well. The humor in the show is outstanding, and the jokes themselves are pleasantly varied.
Uncle Stan, are you wearing a blindfold?
Nah, but with these cataracts, I might as well be. What is that, a woodpecker?
Every type of humor is represented with puns, visual gags, sarcasm, etc. Even the characters themselves either add to the humor or are somewhat of a gag.
Your microphone's a turkey baster, Toby.
It certainly is.
Next question.
While some of the caricatures can be a bit two-dimensional for laughs, others have rich and deep personalities that flesh out this town as more authentic. If you've ever lived in a small town, then you personally know how everyone is connected or perhaps even have history with each other. In Gravity Falls, we usually see the story laid out from the perspective of Dipper and Mabel, outsiders from the town. But when we do get deeper glimpses into the lives of the residential townsfolk, we see that some of them are more than what meets the eye. Instead of everyone just being written as flat stereotypes or exaggerations, they're written as people with individual stories, emotions, and motives. This kind of character writing enables their relationships with each other to be deeper and more meaningful. In a cartoon about mystery and riddles, we find ourselves invested in the rich, touching camaraderie of the characters. I know that most people connect Halloween season with horror icons and gory movies. Heck, I even do that myself. I usually watch through quite a few horror movies during October. However, I'm also a bit of a weenie as well. I usually grit my teeth through horror movies and do my best not to act like a coward in front of friends and family. As much as I love a good monster movie or a hack-and-slash film, I usually find myself needing a palate cleanser between all of the blood and gore. Over the Garden Wall and Gravity Falls remind me of a simpler, more innocent time. They remind me of a crisp autumn breeze, dressing up in costumes and bags filled with candy. I have no shame in saying that the inner child in me still yearns for the nostalgic feeling of Halloween, and these shows provide exactly that. If you enjoy scary things, then make sure to check out my review on why Morbius is terrifyingly bad. Or feel free to check out my other reviews in this playlist here. I am planning on doing more Halloween related videos all month, so make sure to check back for more spooky stuff. As always, have a great day and peace out.